Figma have just released what I think is an essential tool when it comes to front-end development. They've released the Figma MCP Server. If you don't know what MCP servers, then this is probably an amazing way to get started. Essentially, it enables us to pull in designs from your Figma file into your code just by prompting. We can put in variables, we can pull in certain frames, we can pull in whole pages. And again, I can't stress, this is probably an essential MCP server to have in your workflow. So let's stop talking about it. Let's show you what exactly this is. So first of all, you're going to need a dev account. Unfortunately, it's only a paid for feature. Basically, you're going to want to have access to dev mode, whether you're a designer or whatever. Secondly, the project itself is going to do much better if it's really cleanly laid out. The layers are well defined and you're using a bunch of variables, variations and things like that. It needs a really clean project, and I have a pretty clean project here. My designer Leo here is very good with files, with his file structure, with variables and things like that. So I'm confident that this file is going to do very well with the Figma MCP server. With that all out the way, you go into your file, you want to go up here and under preferences, you want to make sure dev mode MCP server is checked. If it's not, if you're on dev mode and you don't see it, make sure you're up to date, make sure you restart Figma, and you should see this pop up then. The second thing you want to do, and if you're running Cursor, this is super simple, is you're going to go to cursor.com/tools and add to Cursor. If you don't have Cursor, and then I can just install it here and it's already running. If you don't have Cursor, you're just going to pop this into your MCP tool of choice, Windsurf, whatever. I'll leave links to this code down below, but that should have it running. And now that's it, we have it installed. I love this one-click access for Cursor MCP servers. Now let's look at the 4 different tools that we're able to do. So you've got get code, you've got get variable definitions, get code, connect map, and get image. So what do these mean? I mean, you can see the documentation here, but let's loosely go over them. Get code is going to be the tool call that gets the actual thing that you've selected. It's going to get the code, underlying code, and that's where it's going to reference things like variables, layer names, and things like that that help determine what the code should be or what the underlying code is in order to, translate that or whatever. Get variable definitions is a really important first step that I like to do, and this is going to, again, it's just going to understand the variables and the variables alone that make up the frame that you've got selected in order to determine and add those to your code base. Get connected map is to do with the node ID, and then get image is going to be the actual images or the visual aspect of the component that you're using. So through this, we can get a rough idea of what we can actually do with the code. I'm going to go ahead and restart Cursor just to make sure it's running. Tools and integrations, we get a nice green thing there, and we're good to go. So inside of Figma now, we can select any frame, and that will be the current context of the tool call. So if you want to, you can indeed select a whole page and reference that. You can select an individual frame. So for our example, I'm going to select this frame here, and I'm going to leave that selected. And you can do 2 things. You can either copy a link to this frame by pressing Command L, or you can just allow your IDE to interpret what it is that you want to do. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to reference my CSS file here. You can see I've got a bunch of variables there. I've kind of already done this, but I'm going to show you a workflow that I think is quite important. Your IDE is going to understand what you write and interpret the correct tool call based on what it is you type. So anything to do with Figma, anything to do with variables, anything to do with components, something like this is going to interpret. So I can say get all variable definitions from Figma, and in fact I might actually bring, because it's going to get all the variables associated with a frame, so I think this one might be a better one to actually reference here. So get all variable definitions from Figma and translate to Tailwind 4, apply to index. I mean, I've got it already selected here, but I'm just going to add it there just in case. So this is enough for the agent to understand that I want to do something with Figma, and it's going to look at its tools, going to look at the MCP servers, and determine that it's going to know what I want to do. And this is the beauty of MCP. It's using natural language to make API requests, tool calls, and things like this to do what we want it to do. And I'm adding the added complexity of saying I want these variables in Tailwind 4 format. So I'm using Claude 4 Sonnet because I want something a little bit quick, and let's see how we get on. So it's understood that I want to call the get variable definitions, and we're going to allow that to run. Cool, and it's done its thing. It's added some variable names there, cleaned things up a little bit, and I'm just going to basically trust that's done its thing. But this, you can see how quickly and easy it's going to be to pull in all of the variables and do things with them. In my case, I wanted them Tailwind 4. You could be doing Tailwind 3. You could be doing SAS. You can utilize the agent to further enhance or modify what it's pulling in from Figma. So I'm going to accept that file, and lo and behold, nothing much has really changed. But I know full well that the variables have been pulled in and everything should be good to go. Let's do something a little bit more advanced. Let's get the account settings dialog now, and I'm going to create a new tab to get good prompt engineer hygiene going on. And once again, we can mention anything to do with what it is that we want to do in Figma, and it'll understand and make the right tool request. So update the design of user settings dialog to the selected frame. So I'm using shadcn, so use shadcn components as much as possible, and Tailwind 4 classes. So we should understand that that's what I want to do there. So it's going to run the get code tool call now, and the get image tool call, and it's going to do its thing. Cool, and it's updating some of the codes here, some of the classes. So so it actually picked up the manage subscription button, which I've added, was removed. Let me add it back in. So it's going to add that back in and update the design with it. This is very cool, and it looks like it's done. So I'm going to accept that. If we knock back into here, and there we go. I mean, it's added the subscription button. I don't want it there. I'll kind of want it over here, but it's added in the cancel button. And as a starting point, you can see how quickly we can make these changes. And it's using all of these file size and classes. But this is just miles above hand coding something, using the Figma VS Code, or copying stuff from dev mode and stuff like that. This is game changing. So as you saw, just being able to pull in code, pull in frames, drastically speeds up our front-end development workflow. It's worth saying that this is only available on the desktop app. It's not yet available remotely, but I know that they are working on this and hopefully should be available pretty soon. I honestly cannot stress how important this MCP server is. So if you aren't already on board with MCP servers, get out there and start with the Figma one. I want to thank all my Patreons, and I want to thank you for watching until the end. Like, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, keep on vibing.